Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome to our deep dive into Franz Kafka's The Trial. Audiences have asked us to explore its relevance to modern America, and
Yeah.
the parallels are as unsettling as they are fascinating.
Yeah. Kafka's work, although written in the early 20th century, possesses this uncanny ability to speak to our 21st century anxieties.
Yeah, it's really,
Like he had a glimpse into the future.
it really is.
Yeah.
Let's start by diving into the story itself.
Okay.
The trial follows Josef K, a man suddenly arrested and plunged into this bewildering legal process
Right.
without ever knowing his crime.
This lack of clarity, this sense of being judged without knowing the rules, immediately throws us into a world that feels both absurd and uncomfortably familiar.
Right?
Think about the frustration of dealing with a complex bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Healthcare government agencies, even social media platforms, where the rules seem opaque
Yeah.
and the goalposts are constantly shifting.
Mhm.
Kafka taps into this feeling of helplessness in the face of systems beyond our control.
Yeah, it's like walking into a maze blindfolded. Each turn leading to more confusion and dead ends.
Exactly.
And Josef K's encounters with the court officials only deepen the mystery.
Right.
They offer no real help or explanations.
No, and Kafka masterfully portrays the powerlessness of the individual against a vast, indifferent bureaucratic machine.
And this is where the novel's critique of bureaucracy becomes particularly relevant to modern America.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we've all experienced the frustration of navigating these labyrinthine systems.
Yes.
The endless paperwork,
Endless paperwork.
the automated phone menus, the feeling of being reduced to a number
A number.
in a database.
Kafka shows us how these systems, while perhaps necessary for large-scale organization, can strip individuals of their agency and dignity, leaving them feeling like cogs in a machine.
And that's where the connection to Foucault's panopticon concept is so striking.
Yes.
The panopticon is this prison design where the guard can see every cell, but the prisoners can't see the guard.
Right.
And the result, they constantly behave as if they're being watched even though they can't be sure.
Exactly. Kafka doesn't explicitly mention the panopticon,
Right.
but the atmosphere of unseen surveillance in the trial is palpable.
Yes.
Josef K is constantly aware of being observed and judged,
Mm-hmm.
but he never knows by whom or for what purpose.
Right.
This ties directly to our modern anxieties about data collection, facial recognition technology, and the invisible algorithms shaping our lives.
It really does.
We're all leaving digital footprints aware that our actions are being tracked and analyzed, but often with little understanding of how this data is being used.
It's this constant low-grade anxiety.
Yeah.
The feeling that someone is always watching and judging, even if we don't know who or why.
Yeah,
It's like a shadow hanging over Josef K throughout the novel,
absolutely.
and perhaps over us today as well.
And if we layer this sense of pervasive surveillance onto a system of justice that feels arbitrary and opaque, the parallels to contemporary concerns become even more stark.
Yes, Josef K's trial is a prime example.
Right.
There are no clear charges. The procedures are baffling, and he can't even figure out who's in charge.
Exactly.
It mirrors growing anxieties about fairness and impartiality in our own justice systems,
Yes.
where political influence bias and socioeconomic disparities can seem to tip the scales.
And let's not forget the way Kafka portrays the court officials,
Right.
cold, detached, and more concerned with following procedures than pursuing actual justice. It's a chilling reminder of what can happen when systems prioritize efficiency and control over individual rights and human dignity.
There's a scene where Josef K is waiting in a crowded room full of other defendants, all equally lost and confused.
Yeah.
And it really drives home this sense of anonymity and dehumanization within the system.
Right.
They're all just numbers, interchangeable faces in a bureaucratic machine.
Precisely. And this connects to another layer of Kafka's brilliance,
Okay.
his exploration of existential themes. Josef K, while desperately trying to navigate this baffling legal situation, is also grappling with larger questions of meaning and purpose in a world that often feels absurd and indifferent.
He's constantly searching for answers, for some explanation of why this is happening to him.
Right.
But the novel offers no easy solutions.
No.
Kafka leaves us with a sense of profound unease,
Yeah.
the feeling that sometimes there are no answers, no explanations, just The cold reality of our situation.
And that, I think, is what makes the trial so unsettlingly relevant to our modern world.
Yeah.
We live in a time of rapid technological change, social fragmentation, and complex global challenges. The ground beneath our feet is constantly shifting, leaving many with a sense of alienation and uncertainty about their place in the world.
It's like that feeling you have after waking from a nightmare.
Yes.
You're disoriented and unsettled, but you can't quite grasp the source of your unease.
Right.
Kafka's writing leaves us in a similar state.
Now, if we delve deeper into Kafka's critique of bureaucracy, we can see how he draws a direct line from the novel's legal system to modern institutions that often prioritize efficiency over human dignity.
Think about our experiences with large organizations,
Yeah.
corporations,
Yeah.
government agencies, even healthcare providers. The focus on procedures, protocols, and quantifiable metrics often leaves individuals feeling unseen and unheard,
Yes.
processed rather than truly helped.
It's the experience of being on hold for hours with an automated phone system, filling out endless forms, feeling like just another case file.
Yes.
Kafka brilliantly captures this sense of alienation and insignificance in the way Josef K is constantly shuttled from one office to another, interrogated by officials who seem more interested in following regulations than understanding his situation.
And it's in this environment of bureaucracy and surveillance that Kafka introduces one of the novel's most unsettling themes, guilt.
Guilt, yeah.
Josef K has never told his crime, yet he feels this deep, pervasive sense of guilt from the very beginning.
It's as if the guilt itself is the point, rather than any specific transgression he might have committed.
Right.
This echoes the theological concept of original sin, the idea that we're born into a state of guilt, inherently flawed and needing to constantly seek redemption.
Right.
But it also speaks to a more modern psychological phenomenon,
Okay.
the pervasive feeling of inadequacy or unworthiness that many experience, even without a clear cause.
It's like that nagging feeling that you're always doing something wrong,
Yeah.
that you're constantly failing to meet some invisible standard. Kafka seems to suggest that this existential guilt is partly a product of our interactions with these dehumanizing systems.
Yes.
The system itself instills a sense of being wrong, of needing to constantly justify our existence.
And this brings us to the crucial theme of justice in the trial.
Okay.
The law, as Kafka portrays it, is an abstract, unattainable ideal. Josef K can't understand the rules, can't access the evidence against him, can't even figure out who's really in control. It's like trying to navigate a maze with no map, no exit, and no one to guide you.
And this feeling of being trapped in an absurd and unwinnable situation highlights the gap between the ideal of justice
Yes.
and the reality of a system that can often feel rigged against the individual.
For many people today, justice feels equally out of reach.
Right.
The cost of legal representation, the complexities of the law, the sheer time and effort required to navigate the process can create a sense that the system is designed to exclude and disempower rather than to protect and serve.
And this sense of justice being out of reach, it makes you wonder if Kafka's court isn't something larger, more symbolic. Some scholars believe it represents a higher unknowable power, and that Josef K's struggle reflects humanity's age-old quest for meaning in a universe that often feels indifferent.
This connects to the parable before the law, recounted to Josef K in the novel.
Yes.
It tells of a man seeking entry to the law perpetually denied by a gatekeeper. It's a powerful image of how truth, justice, or even enlightenment can feel perpetually out of reach, guarded by forces we can't comprehend or overcome.
And this brings us to the heart of the modernist themes that pervade the trial.
Yeah.
Isolation and uncertainty.
Right.
Kafka's fragmented narrative, the confusing and anonymous city setting, and the breakdown of traditional structures all contribute to a sense of displacement, a feeling that echoes the experiences of many in modern society who feel increasingly disconnected and lost amidst rapid technological change and social upheaval.
Josef K's isolation, his inability to form meaningful connections with others, even those who claim to want to help, mirrors the alienation many feel in our hyper-connected yet paradoxically isolating digital age.
It's a reminder that amidst all the noise and distraction, the need for genuine human connection remains a fundamental human need.
And within this world of isolation and uncertainty, another key tension emerges.
Okay.
The struggle between societal conformity and individual freedom. Josef K faces constant pressure to conform, to accept the authority of the court, even though he doesn't understand it.
Right.
His resistance, however futile, embodies the human instinct to assert individuality in the face of overwhelming pressure to conform.
This resonates deeply with the challenges we all face in navigating social expectations, cultural norms, and the demands of various institutions.
Kafka's The Trial serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of blindly following authority and the importance of critical thinking.
It's a reminder that maintaining individual freedom requires constant vigilance and the courage to question the systems that govern our lives.
Now, before we delve into the novel's nuanced portrayal of gender dynamics and its prescient foreshadowing of totalitarian regimes,
Okay.
let's pause and consider how these initial themes resonate with your own experiences.
What parallels do you see between Kafka's world and the world we inhabit today?
Let's shift our focus now to the portrayal of women in the trial,
Okay.
which, while not central to the plot, offers some fascinating insights into the power dynamics at play within this oppressive system.
Yeah, characters like Leni the caretaker's daughter
Right.
and Fräulein Bürstner, Josef K's neighbor, are drawn into Josef K's orbit in complex and ambiguous ways.
Yeah.
They seem both drawn to and repelled by him,
Right.
offering glimpses of intimacy and connection while also reinforcing his sense of isolation and entrapment.
Their relationships with Josef K are charged with this strange mix of attraction and manipulation.
Yeah.
It's as if they represent, on one hand, a fleeting escape from the cold, impersonal world of the court,
Right.
yet they are also clearly entangled with that system, unable to fully break free from its influence.
Their ambiguous roles raise important questions about how women navigate systems of power,
Yes.
particularly within a patriarchal society where men hold most positions of authority.
Consider Leni, for example.
Okay.
She's sexually aggressive toward Josef K,
Right.
but she's also the caretaker's mistress and connected to the court.
Mm-hmm.
She offers Josef K both comfort and warnings about the court, but her motives always seem unclear. She represents both temptation and danger, a potential source of solace, and a further entanglement in his legal troubles.
And then there's Fräulein Bürstner.
Yeah.
Josef K becomes fixated on her after his arrest, even though their initial interaction was brief and somewhat awkward.
Right.
She represents for him a symbol of normalcy and innocence, a life outside the clutches of the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yet she's also drawn into his case against her will, questioned by officials, and ultimately forced to testify against him.
Kafka's portrayal of these women, while brief, is significant.
Yeah.
It highlights the ways women, even those seemingly on the periphery of the legal proceedings, can be both manipulated and victimized by the system.
Mm-hmm.
Their agency is limited, their choices constrained by the patriarchal structures that permeate not only the court, but society itself.
This exploration of power and gender leads us to another chilling aspect of the trial.
Okay.
Its uncanny foreshadowing of totalitarian regimes.
Although written years before the rise of fascism and communism, Kafka's novel captures the essence of totalitarian power with a disturbing accuracy.
The faceless bureaucracy, the arbitrary, arrest, the suppression of individual rights, the pervasive atmosphere of fear and paranoia.
Yeah.
It all feels eerily familiar to anyone who has studied 20th century history.
The court in the trial embodies the key characteristics of a totalitarian state.
Right.
Absolute authority, lack of transparency, a disregard for human dignity, and the relentless pursuit of control over every aspect of individual life.
Josef K's experience becomes a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the insidious ways in which totalitarian regimes can erode individual freedoms and crush dissent.
It's as if Kafka, with his portrayal of this absurd and oppressive legal system,
Right.
was issuing a warning about the potential for tyranny that lurks beneath the surface of any society.
The novel's relevance to modern America is striking.
It is.
While we might not live under a totalitarian regime, Kafka's themes resonate deeply with contemporary anxieties about the erosion of privacy, the expansion of surveillance technologies, and the growing influence of powerful institutions and corporations that seem to operate beyond the reach of accountability.
Think about the debates we're having today about data collection, facial recognition, technology, government overreach, and the influence of powerful tech companies.
Right.
Kafka's The Trial provides a framework for understanding how seemingly impersonal systems can exert profound control over our lives,
Yes.
often in subtle and insidious ways.
And this brings us back to the question of individual agency and resistance.
Right.
Josef K, despite his ultimate demise, never completely gives up his fight for understanding and justice.
He continues to question, to seek answers, to assert his individuality against a system determined to crush him.
His resistance, however futile it may seem, speaks to a fundamental human instinct.
Right.
The refusal to be simply a cog in a machine, the desire to assert one's humanity in the face of dehumanizing forces.
And that, I believe, is one of the most powerful messages the trial has to offer us today. Even in a world that can feel increasingly absurd, overwhelming, and even oppressive, the human spirit can endure. The choices we make, the actions we take, however small they may seem, can make a difference.
Kafka's The Trial, while often bleak and unsettling, ultimately offers us a glimmer of hope. It reminds us that even in the face of absurdity and oppression, the human spirit can endure, and that our choices, even within seemingly inescapable systems, still matter.
Exactly. Joseph K., despite his ultimate fate, never completely succumbs to the court's power. He maintains a degree of agency, a refusal to be simply a passive victim. His struggle, though ultimately tragic, serves as a testament to the enduring human desire for meaning, for understanding, for some semblance of justice in a world that often seems devoid of all three.
Yeah, it's this persistent questioning, this relentless pursuit of truth and meaning that elevates Joseph K's story beyond mere despair, becomes a testament to the human spirit's refusal to be crushed even in the most oppressive circumstances.
And that's where Kafka's work transcends simple categorization as purely existentialist or absurdist. While he certainly explores those themes, there's also a thread of humanism running through the trial, a recognition of our capacity for resilience, for compassion, and for resistance, even in the face of overwhelming forces.
It's a reminder that we're not simply passive victims of fate. We have the ability to make choices, to take actions, to shape our own destinies, even within the constraints of seemingly insurmountable systems. Our choices might not always lead to the outcomes we desire, but they do matter. They define who we are and how we navigate this complex and often challenging world.
Kafka's The Trial is a call to awareness, a challenge to confront the forces that seek to dehumanize and control us. It urges us to be critical thinkers, to question authority, to resist conformity, to fight for a world where individual dignity and freedom prevail. It's a reminder that the battle for a more just and humane world is ongoing, and that each of us has a role to play in that struggle.
So as we conclude our deep dive into this complex and thought-provoking novel, let us carry forward Kafka's message into our own lives. Let us be vigilant in safeguarding our freedoms, compassionate in our interactions with others, and courageous in our pursuit of a more just and humane world.
The trial serves as a potent reminder that the choices we make, the actions we take, and the values we uphold have the power to shape not only our own lives, but also the world around us. Even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, the human spirit's capacity for resilience, for compassion, and for resistance can ultimately prevail.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Franz Kafka's The Trial. We hope this exploration has provided you with valuable insights into the novel's enduring relevance and its profound implications for navigating the complexities of our modern world.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.